My name is Dan Yakes. I'm a local historian. I came to history through the formal processes of going to college. I have a bachelor's degree in history, a master's degree in history, another master's degree in American Studies, and a PhD in American Studies. So I'm not the ordinary local historian, but I'm a historian who specializes in local history. I have 8 current titles in print, some of which are about the White Lake area, and this series is all about White Lake and Montague and Whitehall and the surrounding townships. My most recent book is actually 2 books in one, called Cross River Rivals, and I published it about 2 years ago. It's about the history of the 2 communities, Whitehall and Montague. Originally, our 2 towns, before they were towns, were part of a township called Oceana Township. Oceana Township is named for that because at one time, White River Township encompassed not only all of northern Muskegon County, but all of Oceana County and areas even beyond. And within that county, it was an unorganized county, was a large township called Oceana. So when Muskegon County came into existence by legislative fiat in 1859, Whitehall, Montague, all of northern Muskegon County was attached to Muskegon County, and nobody wanted that to happen, except the people in Muskegon. They thought it was a good idea. But the folks in the White Lake area thought it was a terrible idea because at one time they had been the population center for all of White River Township and all of Oceana. In other words, they were expecting to become a county seat themselves. So the White River Township Board burnt all their records so they could not become part of Muskegon County history. Why they did that is beyond my recollection. I do not know why they would do that. But then the legislature decided further to separate White River from the remainder of northern Muskegon County, and that left White River with a little sliver of land with only maybe 5 or 6 sections in it, which is the way it is today. The area to the east eventually was organized into a township called Oceana Township, and that was a square township, 36 sections, which would be what is Montague and Whitehall townships today. But at that time it was one township called Oceana. Now they were able to elect their own township officials, and including the supervisor. And that was important because the supervisor of every township back in those days served on the county board of supervisors. And that gave this area 1 vote on the county board of supervisors for Muskegon County. Now, as it turned out, the bulk of the population of Oceana Township came from what is now Whitehall. The bulk of the land, however, was part of what we now call Montague. So the farmers in Montague thought it was an injustice that they couldn't get any of their people elected to office in Oceana Township. And plus, most of them were Democrats. And of course, the Whitehall folks thought that was wonderful. They were mostly Republicans, at least by the 1850s, and they liked being in control. And of course, so at a township meeting, eventually in the early 1870s, the township finally decided to split into 2 different townships, separated basically by White River. And the northwest portion became Montague, and the southeast portion became Whitehall. Now there's some logic to this. By becoming 2 separate townships, they each got their own supervisor, which gave them twice as many votes on the county board of supervisors as they'd had before. That's important because they were all in rivalry with the other townships, and particularly the accursed town of Muskegon, which they of course continued to hate because Muskegon had stolen the county seat from them in their minds. So they're separated by political party, and they're separated geographically, and now Montague could elect its own slate of officers to the various other township offices. Now beyond that, of course, both Whitehall and Montague became villages, and they also had political offices, like mayor and the various treasurer and perhaps a surveyor and a dog catcher and so forth. So the rivalry really begins enmity between the two. Most people would subscribe to one paper but not the other. They wouldn't even go to the other village if they didn't have to.
Hi, I'm Jenna Potts, your local Farm Bureau insurance specialist with the Durga Insurance Group. Local agent, local service, and local savings. Come and see us today or visit our website, durgainsurancegroup.com, to find out more.
A lot of companies, they're sometimes in it more for themselves and closing that deal for just their monetary reward. And I think with Mario and his company, it's not just that, and I don't know if that always happens in our world.